Once upon a time, in a small dusty village, there lived a beautiful young girl named Ella. She was just 22 years old, full of dreams, full of hope, and full of kindness. Life in the village was not easy. Her family was poor. But Ella, she never stopped smiling. What she didn't know was that she wasn't their real daughter. She had been adopted as a baby, and no one ever told her the truth. Her real mother? She had died when Ella was only 1 year old. The cause? High blood pressure. You see, the woman worked herself to death, carrying heavy baskets of plantain to the market every single day, trying to feed her child, trying to survive. One sad morning, she collapsed and never opened her eyes again. After her death, Ella was taken in by a woman named Cynthia, a woman who raised her, but never loved her. Ella called her mother, but Cynthia only gave her pain. She shouted at her, insulted her, beat her over little things, and made her feel worthless. One hot afternoon, as Ella was outside washing clothes, Cynthia sat inside the house, talking with her close friend, Esther. "I'm tired of that girl. I hate how people always praise her beauty and manners. It disgusts me." "If you're so tired of her, why not make money off her?" "Money? How?" "There's a rich family I know. Their son is not normal. They're looking for a girl to marry him, and they're ready to pay heavily. Offer Ella to them. You'll get money, a house, a car, even peace of mind." Cynthia paused, then smiled. A wicked, greedy smile. "Good idea. She's of no use to me anyway." The next morning, Cynthia gave Ella a long list of expensive provisions to buy, but the money she gave wasn't even enough for half. Ella looked at the list, confused. "Mummy, this money is not enough! I'm a bathe!" "Make sure you bring everything on that list." She slammed the bathroom door shut. Ella stood there heartbroken. "Is this woman really my mother?" she thought. But she said nothing. She walked into the village, begging strangers for small change, face full of shame, eyes full of tears. By late afternoon, she had somehow managed to buy everything. She returned home, exhausted and hungry, and handed Cynthia the items. "Wow, good girl! Good girl! Mummy! "I haven't eaten since morning. It's already noon." "Did you give me food? Go and find something to eat. Your mates are out there hustling." Ella walked outside slowly. She sat on the floor and cried. Just then, Amanda, her best friend, was passing by. "Bestie, why are you crying?" "It's nothing." "Please tell me." "I'm fine." Amanda didn't believe her. "Come to my house. I'm cooking noodles with toasted fish. Let's eat together." Grateful, Ella followed her. They cooked. They laughed, and for the first time that day, Ella felt a little happiness. By 7 p.m, Ella walked back home. But as she reached the door, she heard Cynthia shouting from inside. Where are you coming from?" "Mummy, I went to Amanda's house, just nearby." "You have the guts to leave my house without permission? Go back to where you're coming from. I don't want to see you here again." Before Ella could speak, slam! The door shut in her face. That night, Ella sat outside in the cold. She cried. She sang to herself softly, trying to feel okay. She leaned against the wall and slowly drifted off to sleep under the night sky. The next morning, Cynthia opened the door as if nothing had happened. She hissed loudly, grabbed her handbag and walked away, off to meet Esther, to finalize their evil plan. Days passed. Ella stayed quiet at home, doing everything she could not to upset Cynthia. But deep inside her, something felt off. The house felt colder, the insults got sharper, and the silence before the storm grew heavier with each passing day. One quiet afternoon, Cynthia was laughing loudly with her friend Esther in the parlour. Ella was sweeping nearby, head down, pretending not to listen. But she heard every word. "Esther, don't worry, they'll come next week. Just get the girl ready. She doesn't even know what's waiting for her, stupid girl." Ella's heart skipped. What are they planning? She wondered, but she knew better than to ask. The week dragged like forever, and then finally, the day came. A shiny black SUV pulled up outside their small compound. Its engine rumbled like power. The car smelled like wealth. And inside sat two strangers, a rich couple Ella had never seen before. Suddenly, "Ella, come out here!" Ella came rushing, wiping her hands on her skirt, eyes full of confusion. The rich woman stepped out. Her heels clicked against the dusty ground. She looked at Ella, head to toe, then leaned close to whisper something to her husband.
"She's the one!"
Before Ella could understand, the woman grabbed her hand and began pulling her toward the car.
Mummy, where are they taking me?"
Tears welled up in her eyes. She tried to pull back, but Cynthia didn't even flinch.
"Cynthia,
Who is your mother? Did I give birth to you? You better follow them. You should even be thankful. You'll now eat good food and live in a mansion, something you can never dream of here." Ella stood frozen, her whole body shook. She turned to Cynthia, hoping, begging, but Cynthia looked away, without a single drop of pity. The car door slammed shut, the SUV drove off. Ella pressed her face against the glass, watching Cynthia shrink in the distance until she was gone. The journey to the city was long and painfully quiet. Ella's heart pounded the whole way. Where am I going? What have I done to deserve this? She kept asking herself. Then they arrived. A massive mansion rose before her, tall, proud, with giant gates and uniformed guards. It looked like a palace, but to Ella, it felt like a trap. Inside, everything smelled of perfume and polished wood. The floors gleamed, the curtains looked like royalty. But still, Ella felt a strange chill in the air. The woman led her up the stairs, past glass walls and golden chandeliers until they reached a wooden door. She knocked gently.
"Woman!"
"Darling, we brought someone special for you." The door creaked open slowly, and there, sitting in a dark, messy room, was the rich family's only son. Ella's heart shattered at what she saw. He looked about 25, but his clothes were stained. The room reeked of urine and leftover food. He stared at Ella with a blank smile, drool sliding from the side of his lips. Ella nearly fainted. Just then, Mr. Williams entered the room with a loud clap.
"Good!
"My daughter, your work begins today!"
My
Work? Yes. You will take care of him, clean him, wash him, feed him, bathe him, satisfy him, make sure he is always happy." Ella's body trembled, her hands, her lips, even her thoughts. She wanted to scream, to run, to disappear, but where would she go? She was alone, surrounded by strangers, far from the village. No money, no one to call, no way out. She had been sold like an item. And this was only the beginning. Mr. Williams and his wife stood smiling at her, like she had just won a prize. But inside, Ella's heart was breaking. The young man she was asked to care for, the so-called husband, was sitting on the bed, playing with his own fingers, dirty and completely lost in his own world. The room smelled awful. Urine, rotten food, dirty clothes piled high in every corner. Ella held her breath, trying not to cry. Mrs. Williams stepped closer, her voice sickeningly sweet. "My dear, don't worry," she said. "With time, you'll get used to him. He's not harmful. He just needs love and care." "Love?" Ella thought bitterly. Where is love in all this? Before she could speak, Mr. Williams clapped his hands sharply. "Start cleaning now! We don't have all day!" With no choice, Ella picked up a broom and began to sweep. Tears blurred her vision as she gathered the dirt. The young man laughed and threw a banana peel at her. It hit her head and slid down to her feet. Ella wiped her face quietly and continued working. Hours passed. She cleaned the room, arranged the scattered clothes, changed the dirty bed sheets, scrubbed the smelly floor until her hands ached. But still, it wasn't enough. Mrs. Williams stormed in. "Have you bathed him?" she snapped. Ella shook her head quickly. "No, Mo. I was still cleaning." Slap! A sharp pain exploded on her cheek. Mrs. Williams had slapped her hard. "Lazy girl," she screamed. "You think you came here to enjoy yourself? You're lucky we even chose you." Ella held her burning cheek. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run. But where would she go? She was alone. No one would fight for her. Mr. Williams pointed to the bathroom. "Take him there, bathe him properly, feed him, and clean this room again." Ella nodded quietly. She walked over to the young man, touched him gently. "Come, sir," she said in a soft, broken voice. The boy laughed, slapped her hand away, then grabbed a cup of water and poured it on himself, laughing like a child. Ella tried again, guiding him carefully toward the bathroom. When they got inside, the stench hit her like a slap. The bathroom was stained, dirty, and smelled worse than the room, but Ella closed her eyes and pushed through it. She undressed him gently, bathed him with soap and water, cleaned him even though her stomach turned. Tears ran down her face the whole time, but she didn't stop. When she was done, she dressed him in fresh clothes and fed him rice with shaky hands. Most of it fell to the floor, but she kept trying, whispering to herself, "Just endure, Ella, just endure." Later that evening, Ella sat quietly by the corner of the room, too tired to move. Her clothes were wet, stained, her back ached, her soul felt crushed. The door creaked open. Mrs. Williams walked in, holding a small brown envelope. She tossed it to the floor in front of Ella. "Here," she said coldly, "your payment for today." Ella stared at the envelope. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside, just a few dirty notes, not even enough to buy a proper meal. Tears welled up in her eyes. Is this what my life has become? Is this why my mother sold me for this? That night, Ella sat by the window of the boys' room, staring up at the stars. She hugged her knees tightly and cried quietly. "I miss you, Mama," she whispered into the wind. "Wherever you are, I hope you're watching me." The stars blinked gently above her. But no answer came, only the cold wind wrapping around her like a blanket. Ella closed her eyes, and deep inside her broken heart, a silent promise formed. One day I will leave this place. One day I will find my freedom. But for now, she was a prisoner in a golden cage with chains wrapped tightly around her soul. The next morning, the harsh sound of banging pots shattered Ella's broken sleep.
Lazy girl, wake up, Mrs.
Williams shouted from outside the room. Ella sat up slowly, her whole body aching as if she had been beaten. Her hands were rough and red from all the scrubbing the day before, her eyes swollen from crying. She glanced over at the young man, her so-called husband. He was already awake, sitting on the floor, laughing to himself as he played with a piece of thread. Ella dragged herself up, washed her face quickly, tied her scarf. There was no time for feelings. In this house, emotions were a luxury she couldn't afford. As soon as she stepped into the living room, Mrs. Williams handed her a long list. "Here," she snapped. "Today, you will wash the entire compound, clean the kitchen, polish the windows, and make sure he," she pointed rudely toward the boys' room, "doesn't mess up again." Ella collected the paper silently and nodded. A part of her was already dead inside. She worked under the burning sun, her thin slippers worn out by the sharp stones beneath her feet. She bent, scrubbed, cleaned and washed without rest. Neighbours passed by, some stared at her pitifully, but no one said a word. In this world, pity was useless. At midday, her stomach growled painfully. She begged for food, and Mrs. Williams threw her a cold piece of bread. "This is what you deserve," she said with a wicked smile. Ella sat under a tree, nibbling the hard bread like a starving animal. A tear slipped down her cheek without permission. Later that evening, something unusual happened. As Ella swept the backyard, she noticed someone standing behind the tall fence. A young girl, about her age, peeking shyly. Their eyes met. The girl gave a small wave. Ella hesitated, then smiled weakly and waved back. It was the first real human kindness she had seen in days. The girl whispered, "My name is Mary. What's yours?" Ella looked around quickly, afraid Mrs. Williams might hear. "Ella," she whispered back. Mary's eyes softened. "I live next door," she said. "I see everything. I'm so sorry." Ella felt her throat tighten, just hearing someone say, "They saw her." It was like medicine to a bleeding heart. Before she could say another word, Mrs. Williams' voice thundered from inside. "Lazy Ella! Where are you?" Ella jumped, gave Mary a quick nod and ran inside, her heart pounding. But something had shifted. A small seed of hope had been planted. Someone had seen her. Someone had noticed her pain. Maybe, just maybe, Ella wasn't as invisible as she thought. That night, after serving dinner, after bathing the boy again, Ella sat by the window once more, alone. She looked at the stars, clutched her chest gently. Her mother once told her, when you feel forgotten, just look at the stars. They are your silent friends, watching you, even when nobody else is. So she watched them, and they blinked back at her, softly, gently, lovingly. Ella made another promise to herself. I will survive. I will not die here. I will find my way out, no matter how long it takes. The house was silent except for the occasional giggles from the boy and the whisper of the night breeze. But in Ella's heart, a small fire had been lit, faint but steady, a rose beginning to bloom among thorns. That night, after another long day of slavery, Ella fell into a deep, heavy sleep by the window. The cold night air brushed gently against her skin, and the stars watched silently from above. But something was different tonight. As Ella slept, she found herself walking through a strange, dark corridor. The walls were rough and wet. An evil smell filled the air. She heard whispers, heavy breathing, and then she saw it, Mr. Williams. He was kneeling inside a small, shadowy temple, hidden deep underground, chanting words she couldn't understand. Candles flickered all around him, and on the altar lay pieces of cloth, beads, and shoes that looked painfully familiar. Ella's heart froze. One of the clothes, it was hers. Mr. Williams held it high and chanted louder, calling on spirits from the darkness. "Bring her soul, bind her to me, let her destiny feed my glory." His voice, wicked and sharp, echoed through the room. Ella gasped in horror. She wanted to run, but her legs refused to move. It was as if the darkness had chained her in place. Suddenly, Mr. Williams turned, his bloodshot eyes locked onto hers. "You can't escape me, Ella." His voice thundered, shaking the walls. Ella screamed and woke up. Sweat poured down her face. Her heart pounded so hard it almost hurt. She looked around quickly. She was still in the boy's dirty room. Still night. Was it just a dream? Or was it a warning? She hugged herself tightly, rocking back and forth. "I have to be careful," she whispered, tears running down her cheeks. But what Ella didn't know was that the dream was real. Beneath the floor of Mr. Williams' bedroom, hidden under matching white tiles, was a secret. A small square tile near the side of his bed could be lifted. Beneath it, a staircase led downward into a hidden tunnel, and at the end, his dark temple, a place of rituals, a place of evil where destinies were stolen and lives were traded for power. Many years ago, Mr. Williams had made a wicked deal with dark spirits. In exchange for riches and respect, he gave up the future of everyone in his bloodline. No one knew, not even his innocent wife. To the world, he was a charming, wealthy businessman, but inside, he was a wolf wearing sheep's clothing. The most painful part? His son, the boy now sitting on the floor, giggling and throwing toys, was cursed. The spirits took his mind, punishing him for his father's sins, trapping him in the body of a man with the soul of a child. But Mr. Williams didn't care. He wanted more power, more glory. And now he had plans for Ella too. The next morning, Ella moved about the house like she always did, but her heart was no longer the same. Every time she looked at Mr. Williams, her stomach twisted in fear. Every time he smiled, that fake, wicked smile. She remembered the dream. She remembered his eyes, his voice, the cloth on the altar. She had to protect herself. She had to be careful. The battle for her freedom had truly begun, a battle that only the strong could survive. Ella didn't know how or when, but deep inside she whispered a vow. One day I will expose his evil. I will break these chains. The wind howled softly through the trees outside. The stars blinked overhead as if they too were warning her. Stay strong, Ella. The real storm is coming. Strange things began to happen all around the house. Sometimes, while sweeping the living room, Ella would hear soft whispers, voices calling her name from inside the walls. Other times, as she bent to scrub the floor, a cold breeze would pass over her skin, even though all the windows were closed. And once, while feeding the boy his lunch, the spoon in her hand began to shake violently. It flew from her fingers and clattered to the floor. Ella would glance at Mr. Williams, sitting calmly in the corner, reading his newspaper, acting normal. But deep in her heart, she knew something was terribly wrong in this house. Yeah. One evening, while washing clothes outside, Ella heard a soft voice behind the fence. It was Mary again, the girl from next door. Her voice was low, almost afraid. "Ella, are you okay?" Ella hesitated, then nodded weakly. Mary looked worried. "I had a dream about you," she whispered. "In the dream, you were trapped inside a cage, and the man of this house was laughing." Ella's blood turned cold. She looked around quickly to make sure no one was watching, then whispered back, "Mary, something bad is happening here. I don't know what to do." Mary bit her lip, thinking hard. "My grandma knows about dark things," she said softly. "I'll tell her to pray for you." Then she leaned closer and warned, "But you must be very careful, Ella. Don't let them touch your clothes. Don't let them cut your hair. Don't let them have anything from your body." Ella nodded slowly, fear tightening her chest like a rope. She thanked Mary with her eyes and rushed back inside with the wet clothes. But her mind kept echoing Mary's words, "Don't let them take anything from your body." That night, Ella locked the boys' room door from the inside. She pushed a chair under the handle, just in case. Then she sat by the window, hugging her knees, too afraid to sleep. She began to remember the day Mr. Williams had called her to bring her dirty clothes for washing. She remembered the way he smiled, too wide, too long, too strange. Her heart dropped. Had he already taken something from her? Was he planning something worse? Tears filled her eyes. She felt like a lamb trapped among wolves. Meanwhile, deep beneath the house, inside his hidden underground temple, Mr. Williams was preparing his next ritual. In the middle of the dark altar, lying beside ancient pots and blood markings, was a small, torn piece of cloth. It once belonged to Ella. He lit a black candle and began to chant. "The girl's spirit shall feed my wealth. Her light shall be swallowed by my darkness." His wicked grin stretched across his face, and in the shadows the dark spirits danced, hungry and waiting. Back in her room, Ella pressed her forehead against the cold window pane. The night air whispered through the cracks.
Be brave, Ella.
The chains are tightening, but the key is coming too. Ella didn't know it yet, but destiny was already moving, behind the curtain, in silence. A greater fight was on the way, and if she wanted to survive, she would need to find courage buried deep inside her soul, because the real war for her life had only just begun. To be continued.